Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I don't know about you guys, but happy fall. We're having a beautiful fall here. It's, what is it today? I think it's September 16th, and just getting ready to shoot another video. So I had a request from a customer for some wedding cards, and I thought that I would walk you through what I did. So this is the first sample of what I made, and I'm going to make a couple different kinds. So this one's clearly more black and white. The other ones that I'm going to do are kind of more like an ivory and gold is what I'm going to do. But I wanted to walk you through this particular process. So I'm going to put together the card and everything, start to finish. Although I did do all of the die cutting, so you guys don't have to put up with that because that was a lot. Anyway, but you can see here that there are multiple layers on this particular die set. Let me see if you can see that there. Right? So it cuts out, and then you can add the different levels of dimension. So this is what the die set looks like. So I have cut it apart and put it on a magnet so that I don't lose all of the pieces because, hello, yeah, look at how small some of these. I think this is a cuff link or perhaps the links that come under his shirt there. Look at this tiny little bow tie. I'm not doing the cuff links. I did do the bow tie. But yeah, it has all of these pieces, and I have couple of dies that are like this, and I might show another one too of adding dimension and things like that to it. But for this one, I'm going to start fairly simple, and just kind of walk you through the process of putting this together because maybe you don't know what that is. So, first of all, what I'm going to do is glue together all of the pieces. When you're getting a die set like this that breaks down into different pieces that layer on top of each other, it's a really good idea to kind of cut them out in white or like some, I'm going to say throwaway cardstock, but not your best, finest cardstock, because you're going to have some trial and error in terms of what goes where. The other thing too is that you can always add using like some blending brushes or something like that. You can always add, like if you've taken it on a white, always add some ink to, let's say, a skirt or a jacket or whatever, if you're starting with white cardstock or something, so it can give you the idea of what it is. Okay. So I do recommend cutting them all out first and then seeing how you can fit them together before you utilize like your good cardstock or color cardstock, whatever, just so that you can see which piece is which. If you have gotten a good branded die as well, they should have, with your packaging, should be what all of the pieces are labeled, or you should be able to find it on their website as well. How the heck do I put this thing together? If it has a name as well, you can often search it either on like Google or even on Pinterest. You'll be able to find then how the heck am I supposed to put these things together? So this is the die set. I'm going to put this together, put this to the side here. This is my sentiment for later. Okay, so I have cut out several pieces. So this is the base layer. This is the couple. Okay. This is for her, but this is all the pieces for the gentleman here. Okay. So this is her dress kind of thing. And I actually want to do it in two layers. So you can see here that I have cut it out, and I cut it out in a two-tone gold. So basically you can see that it fits right onto the background silhouette here. So this gold is just lovely. Okay. But I'm probably going to be putting this very shiny Celebrate with it. So I might want to see if I can put these two together with the gold, the shiny gold just kind of offsetting from behind. I just think that the matte gold is a little more zhuzhed versus if I do like this, that's very shiny, which is nice, but you're going to see that the paper and everything that I'm using has a lot of glitz to it already. So I think what would be really nice is if I just kind of do this so you can kind of see, let me see if you guys can see that. So you can just sort of catch the light on the shine from the mirrored cardstock versus the matte cardstock. So I'm going to glue these two pieces together first, I think, and then I'm going to put that down onto the base. So pull out some tweezers. And again, I'm going to glue, don't have to do it this way, but I'm going to glue on the back because then I don't get as much glue transfer onto the front. It's Barely Art glue. So it will dry clear, but on mirrored cardstock and matte, it will still show like it'll be clear, but you'll be able to see the space where the glue is, right? Now I can go in and rub that off later, but sometimes, okay, reality, I'm a little lazy when it comes to that, and sometimes I forget, or sometimes I just don't get to it. So I prefer to glue from the back. I often find that that is a little bit easier and I don't get quite as much transfer. So now I'm just gonna, hopefully my head's not gonna get in your guys' way here, but I'm gonna pull this in and I want to just slightly off center this. And I'm gonna pick this up because I can kind of squeeze it into place here, which would be nice. Get that, get that. Okay, while that's sitting together, I'm going to pull out and just put some stamp blocks on it just to kind of push it together. Okay, so while that's drying, I cut out. I can add on the gentleman's legs here, the groom's legs. So we'll just add those directly on to the silhouette. So, and of course, you could, the really interesting thing about doing something like this is that you can customize it. So if you happen to know the colors of the bride and groom of their wedding or whatever, you can do the bouquet or the cummerbund or the tie, all of those kind of things. You can do them in their colors and just make it quite a little more personal, which is kind of nice. Now I'm going to stick on the jacket, which I cut out in this really beautiful, this is a velvet cardstock. So it's kind of like a charcoaly gray cardstock. Well, it's not really cardstock, it's kind of this plasticky stuff, but it is for scrapbooking. This stuff works phenomenal if you're wrapping, like if you create scrapbooks, the kind that have all the flips and folds and everything like that in them. This is the best stuff for wrapping the your spine because it's so flexible, so it doesn't show any of the cracks or anything like that. Whereas often when you're using cardstock, you'll see a lot of cracking from the sides, which is never a fun thing. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up, squidgy that into place here. Oh, I think I'm going to have to leave some space because I think her dress is supposed to go underneath his. Yep, it is. So I'm going to slip this in here. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back as well. And again, this is just paper, so you don't have to put a ton of adhesive on this, just enough to make sure that it is going to adhere to the cardstock. Right now, to layer this into place. And slip that in. So I'm kind of lining up her shoulders, and you can see where some of these spaces are underneath. Like there's clearly cutouts. You can line it up along the edges of the die. There we go. Do that stick down. Oh yeah. Oh, awesome. Now, here we go. Look at how lovely that is. There's a few final details that I'm going to add in here. First of all, I didn't know, the person who requested this didn't tell me any kind of specific colors or anything like that for the wedding and things like that. So I'm just going based on what I had and some nice colors cardstock that I had. Okay, so I'm going to cut out. So, sorry, I'm not going to cut out. I'm going to glue down this tiny little bouquet. It's kind of like a little bow, but you can see here that there's kind of a space on her hip that's kind of got this jut out on it. In fact, I think. Oh, I did. I put it on backwards on the other one. That's really funny. Where did I put that card? So you can see here on this card, I have it coming this way so that it's kind of sitting in her hand, coming off of there. So I think I put it right about there like that. But if I look at the options, the silhouettes, or the way that the shape fits, I think it's actually supposed to go like that. But I think I like it better this way. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Again, it's your design, it's your decision, your card. Just little things like this in where we decide what we like best is what takes it from, oh yeah, I'm just copying that right off of what the website had versus I actually like how this looks. So let's stick that there. So, hey. All right, I'm gonna put this underneath my word for it. Stamping blocks. Total brain fart there. Okay. Now, on the other one that I did, for some reason I thought that it would need to sit like this together, which is again why you want to play with them before you put it together, but it still looks okay. Nobody who isn't a card maker would notice, so that's okay. So, but this is actually kind of like the cummerbund or the lapels, and you can see here that the tie area just sort of, or the shirt area just sort of fits just behind this guy. So this is pretty fine. So I'm going to use my tweezers and I'm going to put some adhesive right here along this edge, right here, and right there. Now, try and get this into place as close as possible. But I don't want it hanging out from the bottom here. So I'd rather have it hanging out a little bit at the top, just the same way that, like your shirt collar comes up above your jacket. Let's see if that's straight from the other side. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, so this out, and you can see my black bow tie just sitting right there. Now that's going to be the last guy that I'm going to add on. I'm going to take my tweezers again because this is very small and fiddly. And I'm going to add adhesive onto the back of this. And I'm doing I mean, it's liquid glue, liquid adhesive, so it's not like it's going to be a ton anyways, but I want to make sure that I do have enough on there because I'm gluing it onto this velvet. So it's not going paper to paper, it's going back of paper onto this velvet. So I want to make sure that it's going to have enough oomph to make sure that it's going to get on there. Now, this teeny tiny little bow tie does actually have just a skosh, a bit of detail on it, which I have facing up to the camera right now. So, in the bow tie, where did I put it on that? Yeah, I'm going to put it right there. So, I'm going to put a little bit, just a drop of adhesive right there. Oh, and I meant to add some shadowing to their heads and stuff like that, but might have to forego that. Let me see if I can do that once I've got all this in place. Again, sometimes you just have those brain fart days, right? That's what it is. And still going to be an absolutely gorgeous card when it's done. All right, so let's just do this for a moment. Stick that under there. I'm going to pull out my, this is Distress ink and it's Vintage Photo, which is a nice kind of brown that's kind of earthy that helps to edge things. And I'm just gonna used a little bit of hickory smoke yesterday with this particular blending brush. So I'm just gonna give it a bit of a rub and take some of that off here. Put that to the side. Let's see what we've got here. See how deep that's gonna come on. So I'm just going to pull out a piece of, that's not the same color. That's good. Piece of cardstock. I just want to see how deep that's going to be. Okay. Do you see the difference here? Look at, I'll bring that up to the camera. See if you can focus on that. Look at on the right-hand side here, how dark it was, even though I had blended off into my lid a little bit versus off to the side here. So closer to the edge here. So I took off some ink, but closer to the edge here is what I would prefer it to look like if I'm going to add a little bit of depth. Because these are the same tone would be as my card, I want their heads to have a little bit of shading, a little bit of depth so that they can pop off of, especially if you're putting white on white or if you're putting like an ivory on an ivory. I want to make sure that their edges are just going to pop off just a little bit. It's a great way, instead of matting something, I can add just a little bit. Let me see if that's going to show up now. So this is, now you can see that little bit of a difference. Look at how it looks like they've almost got like hair, but you can now see them on white cardstock. They look like they pop off instead of the white on white and kind of blending in. I want them to pop off just a little bit. Okay. So that's another handy tip there. So before I go and make a mess, I'm just going to clean this up a bit, as we all know what happens. Stick myself in that or whatever. There we go. All right, move this to the side, and I'm also going to nope, you know what? I'm going to leave that there so you guys can, we'll see what comes of the end here. Okay, so the card that I decided I want to make is going to be, so I'm using ivory cardstock because I thought that would be the nicest with the gold, right? Look at how lovely that is. It's already just pretty, right? So I pulled out a few things, and this is I'm not sure what the A designation, like it's not a standard A2. I think it's called an A7, but it is 5 inches by, I believe it's 6.5, which is kind of a crazy size, but that's okay. We're going to work with it. And then what I did is I pulled out some really cool paper that I have. Okay. And I love. Like this was from a wedding paper pack that I had done many years ago. And this is what's left. And so I was just thinking how really nice that would be. Now, ideally, if I was doing um because I want to use this particular piece of paper, that means I can't do a portrait. I will have to do a landscape style, right? So not up and down. I'm gonna have to go this way. So if I was doing this, look at how nice, like I'd really love to have this. This is really great. Look at how great that background is. But I could do this and just have a really nice sized border on the back and then do that, right? Like that's really pretty. Loving that. Um, but the other thing I wanted to do just a slight. So this is a really good way without cutting your paper. This is a really great way to check and see how is this going to play out on my card, right? So this would be my corner here. If you look at, I've got the gold, the kind of like the, what do you call that? The antique or the filigree. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Filigree. I mean, ideally, I would like to take that to there instead, which puts that there. So I would have to trim that down. Okay. But I think I could do, yeah, I do know I can bring this in. I don't need to have this one as big. So that's good. And then if I take my couple, so if happily ever after here, and my couple can actually sit right there. I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. Now the background is, it is busy. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty busy. Now the other one that I had is I have a polka dot one here that we can try out. Let's see here. I don't know. It's not quite as fun. I could also do a much larger size then because I can bring that right up to typically where you have like an eighth of an inch or, all the way around, which would do that by that by that. Okay, that is kind of less busy. Nope. You know what? I like the other one. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to put that one to the side. So that means then that I have to trim this down. So I've got to, no, you're going to watch me do math live on screen here. Okay, so this is 6 inches. So when I said that this was 6.5, right? So we've taken off half an inch. So I need to take, so this would be 5. Okay, so I have to trim this to 4.5 so that it's 4.5 this way. Okie dokie. So bringing out my trimmer. Do 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 do. 4.5. Let's see, is that actually straight there? Give it just a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. That there. And see, how does that look? Is it good? Good. Yeah, I like it. Okay. So this is now 4.5 by 6. Okay. So that means I want to make this because I wanted this to come in another 1/2 inch. So I want to make that, this was 6, so this needs to be 5.5. All righty. Let's see here. Cut this side because that's kind of crummy. So I want to do, so that puts that, if that puts this at 5.5, nope. Yes, 5.5. Then that means I can cut this to 5.25, which would be good. Cuts off just a little bit, gives me the happily ever after still. Perfect. Okay. So that's, yeah, I'm good. Okay, so shoot. This is why you're not supposed to try and do this while you're doing everything else. Okay, so I can cut this to 5.5 by, so this was just slightly over 4.5. So I want this to be 4.5. Excuse me while I do math. So I want this to be 4. Sorry. By 4, just under 4, just over 4, actually. Okay. Reason why I'm cutting it to that strange size, though, is because I want slightly more of that border behind to come on. You see, I don't want to just do the traditional 1/8 of an inch. I want that brown to come from behind. That's what I want to be seeing. Okay. So, which then means, so you can see now, this is almost the right size this way, lengthways, because I think I said, so what was this? This was just under 4, just over 4. This is probably 375. Yeah, just over 3 3/4 inches. So this is a really great size, although it does have, still has uh the rough edge from, when you pull paper out of a paper pad. We're just going to trim that part down, but I do need it to come down to what is the sizing here? So I've got this at 5.5. So I want this to come down to 5.25. So the area that I want to take that off is going to be right here. I want to make sure that I'm getting the happily ever after in there. That I need just a scotch off the other side then. 5.25, like that. Okay. All right. So let's put this to the side and let's see what that's going to look like. Always test things before you glue them down. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, so before I glue everything down though, I do want to chalk the edges again. So chalking the edge will add again that depth and dimension, same thing that we did with our couple, right? We added some highlight around the edge to age it, but also then it helps it pop off of the lighter color. So to do that, I am going to use ColorBox. These are pigment brush pads, but this is actually a chalk-based ink. And if you've seen my videos on the ABCs of ink blending, um, ABCs and CDPs of ink blending, chalk-based inks will dry the quickest because it has the least amount of water and will often has a chalk base to it. So the talc that is in the chalk helps to dry out the water content. So it will dry the quickest, which makes it really nice for edging. This one won't see anything, but we will also chalk the edge of this guy here. Add that bit of dimension. So when you're using, if you're trying to get things to dry quickly, no, getting things to dry quickly. That's the word I'm looking for. You want to use a chalk-based ink. Chalk-based inks are very difficult to find now because I believe ColorBox did go out of business a couple of years ago. So they are hard to find. Your next one that's going to dry the next quickest is anything that is dye-based or a water-based ink. That will allow for it to dry just that much quicker. So you see, go here, even though, so I'm pulling off some of the glitter, but I'm not making my fingers all brown, right? So I'm just going to test that, make sure it's not going to get on anything, which it is not. All right, so I think what I want to do is I'm going to glue these each to each to each, and then I'll glue it onto the um onto my card. Mm, so, mm, Put that up so I can kind of eyeball it into place. Again, for me, it's not about precision. It's a handmade card. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it to look pretty darn close, right? Doesn't have to be perfect though. Okay. So I'm going to do this one. Let's get a little bit more adhesive flow in there. Now, this is a little bit more important because I have to make sure that I have the words going the right way. And I have to remember that I did a smaller border for the shiny solid gold. Okay, now before I stick this down, I want to put my stamp on the back of the card. So I'm just gonna prep the stamp there. Mom and Dad got me this stamp last year for Christmas, and they were super tickled with themselves. Let that dry a bit. Actually, just give it a quick blot to make sure it's not gonna smudge. There we go. See, which is a good thing that I did because you can see where the stamp pigment ink, a little dry, a little wet still. So I want to make sure that. All right, now I am going to stick down my card front onto my card base, I guess would technically be the word. Oops, went a little too close to the edge there. Make sure that didn't leak over the top. Nope, good. All right, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to stick this down. And again, I want to remember that I should have about a quarter of an inch all the way around. So I'm just going to squeegee that into place, which is again the nice thing about having the um, liquid adhesive while you're putting something into place here. So now here's our cute couple. How adorable is that? But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some foam tape on the back. So now we could also do celebrate right here, which I think could be quite nice, but I don't even mind. Kind of like all of that. I think that that looks really lovely. So I might save this one for another one. We'll see. I think that that pretty much says everything on there, but I do want to pop these up because again, that will add that little bit of shading shadow so that it makes them pop off of there just a little bit more, right? Right. So to do this, because this is fairly thin, uh, a lot of these strips here are fairly edged small. I don't want to have to cut my thicker foam tape, like my dollar store foam tape that I typically use. I don't want to have to try and slice that down the center or make pieces out of it. So I got these really cool thin foam tape strips. Now I know Simon Says Stamp carries them, scrapbooking.com carries them. I got mine online. The original people who carried these was actually Doris, which I don't even think is a company that's in business anymore. Scrapbooking Made Simple carries them. Uh, just trying to think of who else would be carrying these guys. So I'm just going to keep lining up these strips and then kind of cutting. Some of them will end up getting cut, obviously, just to fit into some of the smaller spaces because you don't, I don't want them to be too overhanging too much. Catch the last bit of his shoulder here. So then it can go right up like right here. It's covered. Catch her neck. Do another piece in her head. But in the meantime, I've got another nice small space here that I can get the rest of the body, like so. And what's really cool is that these pieces can be cut, right? Like yeah, like cut and kind of maneuvered into place so that you don't have to worry too much about like it hanging off or whatever. Because you know, you don't in general want to see the foam tape. It's not like, ooh, let me see how you glued that on. Oh, I see. You just use foam tape. I mean, it's not always going to be hidden. That's just the truth, right? You're not going to be able to hide everything, but you do want to keep a little bit of mystery and whatnot. So we're going to do this. And to which there are some companies that actually carry black colored foam tape because if you're using like black cardstock or something like that, it's really nice to be able to use the black instead and not have it be so visible from underneath. Because when it's popped up, right, you can still see that edge of white, which works fine for this. But I'm just going to do a tiny little bit for the rest of her head here because there's not much support on her head and her arm. I think I want to try and get just a little bit right there because yeah, she's got a pretty thin arm. So we can get that on. Let's do like that. And I think that's just enough for her head, but oh, and I do need to get a little bit more underneath the bouquet. Oh, you can see that behind her nose. Scale that up a bit and then pop that in closer. There we go. And just scotch for under the bouquet. All right. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side. Now I'm going to pull off all of these release papers. Now, when you're using foam tape, sometimes it's a really great idea. You can put some liquid adhesive on it, just on top of where you've released the release paper on the sticky edge, and that will, if you're concerned about not being able to get it into place on the first go, because you know you don't want to rip it basically, and if you have to try and lift it, it's not super fun. You can put some liquid adhesive a little bit on there, and then that'll give you that little bit of moment or two to kind of slip it into place or kind of wiggle it about if you need to. I like to keep a pace on the side here, like where I'm holding on so that my fingers aren't getting onto all of the, like removing all of the sticky on the other thing by holding it in that place while I remove the release paper. So I'll save this edge right here, like where you can see my thumb is just holding on to the corner until I need to. Then I can switch my fingers to the edges and hold it there. Now, I could also be using my tweezers, but I'm not sure that I actually need them for right now. Okay, so I want to make sure. So I'm just going to have a look. I kind of like the idea of them being grounded. And kind of coming in. So I want their feet off of the white portion. So you can see here where they're kind of landing onto the brown instead of onto the white here. Okay, how cool and adorable is that? I just love that. I think it's so cute. And then what I can do as well is, let me see here. I think that one is going to be so big that I'm going to have an extra raw. Yep. So in order to, did I do? Oh, I just have two of the shiny ones. Okay. So I cut out I have some other dies as well that I cut out that I just thought would be kind of nice to do on the inside. So for example, so this one's got quite a bit of shine on it. The other card that I'm going to do may not have as much. So to match her dress with the little bit of shine, I don't want to put this on the outside here, although it could be really cute, but it covers up my words like the happily ever after love stories. You make me happy, a beautiful day, all because two best friends, those kind of things. What I want to do is I want to add this into the center, into the inside to add a little bit of zhuzh to my card to the inside. Now, so I can do this in the corner and then I could actually do that, right? So I've got this other smaller couple that I cut out so they can go there. They could also go there, and that still leaves more than enough room for a really nice sentiment. But then, because I've got the words on the outside, I can also do celebrate or congrats, like either or would work. But I think because I've got the shiny here, I think I want to do the shiny on the inside, right? I think so, because that's kind of going to stand out there. So this is what I'm going to do on the inside. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive. Filament there from my die cut. So stay tuned. So I'm coming to the end clearly of this card, but stay tuned because I am going to do a second card. Because sometimes the question is what if I don't have that kind of stamp set or that kind of die set? How do I put together something? If I've only got one die? Perfect question. Perfect question. So we're going to create something similar, but using just one die instead. Well, I mean, I have these two for the inside still, but this would have been easier if I had pulled out my tweezers for this part. Okay, so there we go. You can see here. Another great thing to do, if you haven't thought about it before, is saving a piece from the front of your card, putting it on the inside. Okay, you know how nice that is. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Put a Mr. and Mrs. on the inside. Nice little space for a sentiment still for you to handwrite your thank you so much from Kareen, blah, 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 or congratulations and blah, 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 right? So nice. And let's make that, that has to do this for a minute. That was adhered, adhered. Look at that is just lovely. Super happy with that. Okay, I'm going to put that one to the side here and I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit, not a ton, because you guys don't want to have to wait for all of that to happen because it's a pretty big mess here. And I'm going to do a second card as well. And this one, I used a single die, which was this die here. Okay, aren't they pretty? Now, what it cuts out like is this. Okay. So, and again, I cut out two of the silhouettes. I cut one out in shiny gold and I cut one out in the matte gold. And I haven't glued them together yet because I'm not sure what I'm doing totally for the base. So I want to make sure that I have that set before I decide which color is going to be going on top. So again, I'm going to use a bigger card base. And this one, because you can see, like, look at the size of it. You know, it's if we did this, then she's hanging off, like they're cutting off their head. So this is going to be a portrait card style, so not landscape, portrait up and down. Whoops, something's coming through on my computer here. I've got to get rid of that. There we go. Okay, and yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go up and down. So again, it is a 5 by 6.5. And while I'm hanging out here, while I'm waiting and deciding on things, I will pull out my stamp because it's always easier to stamp when you don't have anything in the card. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to the side here. And I'm going to pull out the things that I was looking at as possibilities for the front. Like, how gorgeous is that? I still have some of that paper and I have this really nice flat kind of matte-ish color. Okay, so I'm thinking that what I want is I'm going to do this on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to have this really nice, lovely color on the bottom. And then I want to layer this on top like that. And then I'm thinking of either this, might not be able to use this, despite how much I love it. You might not be able to. But I was thinking that this would be an interesting option as well, because look at what happens when you put the silhouette on top of that. How cool is that, right? So you get the pretty gold. Yeah, it really pops off of there. The other option is this kind of champagne ivory-ish color, which is also quite lovely too. Okay, so yeah, let's start with trimming these guys down and then we'll see what's left. So because I can do this fully up and down, I don't have to try and fit it onto this. I can definitely do it this way. Let's not confuse you guys. It's cute. It's not confusing for you. It's confusing for me. Okay, so this is 5 inches. So I'm going to trim this all down to basically 1/8 of an inch. So it's going to be What did I say? So this was 5. So I want to take this down a 1/4 inch. 2. So I'm going to make this 4 3/4, and I'm going to take down both sides here. Turn it around to 4 3/4. Okay. So see, 4 3/4. So that's going to give me an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, basically. And then let me see where was this. This was 6. So this has to come down to, this was 6.5. Just make sure. So I want this to come down to 6 1/4, basically. Okay. Now this silly trimmer only goes, so this is going to be pretty close guesstimate. So you can just see here on the edge that this is where it's marking as 6. So these little tabs tend to be about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to trim here, and then I'm going to come and do on the edge here as well. And so just off the edge of this ruler here should be about 6 1/4 inches. So let's see if my guesstimation was correct there. Are we looking? Yeah, that's pretty darn good, right? I like that. Okay, so the next layer that I want to put down is going to be this absolutely gorgeous filigree kind of pattern here. And I want this to actually be the entirety of, maybe I'm lying, just a second. This I'm going to trim down. Nope, I want this to be, yep, I want that to be the entirety of the length of this gold. So I'm going to trim this down to 6 1/4 as well. And I think, so I'm going to trim the one end to make sure that I've kind of got a straight edge. That, I'm going to put it in here like this. Ooh, come on. This is almost like a fabric, this paper here. It's kind of cool. See, did I get it pretty darn close? I did. So what I'll actually do is glue this on and then hold it. And from the back, I'll just trim off anything extra that's a little bit too much. Because I do want this to be pretty much edge to edge, although that wouldn't be the end of the world if it was a little over. Okay, so that I'm happy with that. But again, I want to chalk my edge on this. So where did I put my chalk? So let's take this and we're going to it's really funny. Have you ever been to a crop where people, like there's music playing or something like that, and then the playlist just kind of stops all of a sudden, and nobody's really noticed that there's no music, and everybody is so focused on what they're doing that all you can hear is people talking. It's a very, very funny thing when you catch it. I hear sound. Well, obviously everybody hears sounds, but I'm very sound sensitive. And so you see how different that makes that look. It takes down the starkness just enough to make it really kind of pop off of there. Really doesn't make it quite as bright, which I like and appreciate. Okay, this I want to, yeah, I'm going to glue that down so that I can put that into my paper trimmer to trim off any excess if I need to. Now, because this is going onto a non-porous surface, it's going to be a little slippery to start with. So I want to I would like to make sure that I am getting some decent adhesive coverage on here, and to make sure that it's going to hold well. And I want to get that pretty centered, I think. Fairly centered anyways. Okay, so that hopefully I've got it fairly straight. Pretty straight. Okay, so make sure there's no glue there. I'm just gonna press this down from this side, make sure that that adhesive is adhering. Okay, and then I don't know if you guys can see here, but you can just catch the edge where it's not quite, it's just hanging off just a scotch. So I can put that into my paper trimmer, line it up right to the edge here, and just lop off that little bit that's left there. There we go. Now, should be straight to the edge and still has the chalking on it. Okay, so that's good. All right. So here's what we've got now so far. This is first layer. Mhm. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to stick that down. Yeah, I'm going to adhere this on, let that sit for a bit. And then I'm going to figure out what I want to do on top of this. I don't always recommend adhering your panel down until you're ready to go, but I've got a fairly decent idea of kind of where I'm going with this. Yeah. So this metallic paper that I have under here, that actually just came from a set of cardstock, like textured paper, mirrored cardstock that I got in a multi-pack from Michaels, I think it was. Yeah, but if you don't have textured mirrored cardstock, get some regular mirrored cardstock, run it through your embossing folder. Gorgeous, so pretty, so pretty. If you haven't tried that, I do have several embossing folder videos using mirrored cardstock and really fun techniques for that. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. Now, this is just beautiful, right? Like, this is lovely. There are many different things that we could do. So I could trim this down. This could be the top, and then just like you don't, I could even just do like something like that. That would be nice. Okay. So now what I need to do though is decide. So I don't think I'm going to get to use this paper today, which is kind of too bad because it is some of my very, very favorite paper. But what I think is interesting is this texture is very cool, very cool, very cool, right? Like, look at how different that is. And again, when you're card making, it's really nice to be able to add texture, differing differing textures. Sorry, it's totally that would just kind of giggled in my own head there. Okay, so what I'm checking here is to see if I can. This also came from another. No, I lie to you here. This was actually cut down from a piece of 12 by 12 open cardstock that again I got from Michaels many, many years ago. So, you know, when you're especially when you're looking at specialty cardstock, I don't tend to throw it away. So it's always handy to keep a hold of. But I'm thinking, what I'm debating about is, do I want to have, like, do I want it to be overhanging and having the full thing, or would I like more of that gold to show through? Which I think, because this is narrow enough, I think I would like more of the gold and the white to show through. So what I want to do is I want to cut this down. So again, so that it has probably close to, you can see with the distance here, so that it has the 1/2 inch on each side. So if I'm measuring, I believe I cut this down to 6 1/4. So this guy needs to be, okay, it's going to be 5 1/2. And then what did I cut this down to? So it's 4. So I need this to be BB to be 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. Okay. And they are 3. So that should work. Okay. So I need to cut it this way to, I'm going to start with 3 3/4 and just see what that looks like. Because, you know, sometimes it's good to check things because you just never know. And I often, when I'm cutting my paper, I often like to turn it around and cut from both sides so that I can ensure both sides have a good straight edge. Nope, I want it to come in further. So, because you can see here, see, you can see how much space there is on the bottom and then space on the top. So it's not even on the two edges here. So I want to make sure that that is a little bit closer. So I'm going to take this down then to 3 1/2. A bit more oomph to the sides here. Oh yes, much better. You see how that nice pops off there really nicely? Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. All right. So that's the option there, which then leads us to our couple, a happy little couple here. The other thing we could do is kind of do, I don't know that I want to do that on there. We'll see, we'll see. That might just be an interior. Okay. Now, important question here, important question. Do I want to do this like this with the edge again? Let me show you the difference here. Okay, so you can just see the edge of the shiny die cut poking through, which pulls in the shine here, but I have used the matte gold on top, or do I want to switch it and have it just slightly off center, like so? Well, I'm not gonna lie. I do like the glitter, like the shine here, and then the shine on the front. Like that's really, I think that's a lot nicer than the matte on the front. I think that's a little too plain. I liked it on the other one, but on this one, I think it's really nice. And then, and then for a sentiment, because I didn't use the other one and I am using the matte on the top here, I have a couple of options. So I have a Better Together, which I thought was quite nice. I used that on my black and white one, but I think that's a little stark coming off of here versus I love this Celebrate cut out of the same gold. That's quite lovely, right? And I could actually do them a little higher and kind of bump that down there. Let's see here. Actually, if I were to do, right? So if I cut them down just enough and I trim this so that it fits like that, and I can, so I want you to imagine that this is going to be sitting here, but it's going to be shorter. So I'm going to cut that off there, and then my sentiment can pop there like that. So my sentiment is the mirrored gold cardstock, but I also backed it with some black. So again, it's going to have a natural pop off of there. Yeah, I think I really like that edge. Okay, so first thing that I want to do then is I am going to glue my two die cuts together. So I'm going to probably use my tweezers for this one. And again, I'm going to add my adhesive, liquid adhesive to the back of my top die cut and push down from the top. And hopefully then any seepage will go out through the bottom instead, is hopefully the plan. Okay. And again, you don't have to catch all of it because it is paper. It's not going to be like, oh my goodness. We'll kind of want to catch the edges, a few of the inner parts so that it does stick together. But it's again, it's paper, so it's very light. It doesn't have to have a super, super fine. Or expertise, expert level of adhesive on it. Okay, so, and I've got this going on my wrong hand, but what I want to do is I want to stick this on now, and I'm going to, let's start with this. Ooh, let's wait that on the prevail there. Off, off. Go, a little bit on the dress there. All right, so I get too twitchy. See on my finger there. All right, and let's move that, and I want to pick that up, and I'm gonna pivot that just into place so that it has the highlight just to the side. So you can just catch the matte through the shiny. It's another great way, especially if you've only got the one die cut, it's a great way of, if you put something just slightly off center or just shift it up a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, a little bit one way or the other. It's a great way of adding extra dimension. Did I put my things there? Whoops. Right. So I'm just going to put that underneath a little bit of my stamp bases here, stamp blocks, just to get it to have that little bit of nice weight to kind of puff it together there for a bit. And I am going to, in order to match this, I do want to add a little bit of color. I'm going to chalk the edge so that it will stand up off of the bottom. Now I can only do the edge here because I'm going to trim this down as well. I'm going to glue the couple onto this one and then chop the top because I want to have it fit just right basically to them, right? So let's see here. Stick. It's stuck. Okay. There we go. And still quite shiny. I didn't even get a ton of glue on there. Yay me. Ooby dooby. All right. So I'm going to use my tweezers just because it is a little easier to hold because the this is particularly on her veil. It's a very fine, detailed die cut. So again, check your stash. You don't have to be using exactly what I'm using. Check your stash. What have you got? How can you add extra details to your card? Because that's really what steps them up. That's what takes them from, that is the difference between a dollar store card and a Hallmark card is the details. So again, with your handcrafted cards, what can you do to zhuzh it up just a bit? Take it from, a card that is, a standard card to a piece of art. What have you got? It doesn't have to be a ton of things, but what have you got that you can do? Okay, so I want to kind of center them in there. Well, you can't really center them, but because of her dress, I want to make sure that I've got a nice edge to it. Stick these down again. Make sure that I'm getting some coverage all the way. These work really great to make sure that you can help push because you can see how textured the cardstock underneath here is. So it's really great to help push the liquid adhesive into some of those grooves so that my die will adhere to my cardstock. Okay. So now you can see that I put it pretty close to the bottom here, but I did leave some space here at the top. So now I want to pull out my trimmer. This is the nice thing about the guillotine trimmers is that I can just pull this out and I can kind of measure it and just kind of look and say, okay, so what was the rough distance that I had here? Her dress is pretty close at the bottom here. So I want to get his head without cutting his head off. I can pull that out. What do we think? That's pretty close, right? Pretty close, about the same distance. So that works for me. Then last step before I glue this down is I want to just add a little bit of chalking to this edge. Make sure. Also want to add just a little bit on the corners here, kind of make them look a little rounded. I'm not rounding my corners, but I do want to add that little bit of depth just at the edges here. If you've ever seen my Lavinia videos, you know I love the depth at the corners, really draws your focus in your eyes inwards, right? Okay. A little bit more on this edge here. Give that a second to dry before I try and like it. All right. Okay. Let's make sure that's dry so I don't wreck my project, especially seeing as how it's so light in color. That would suck. Make sure that you're blotting or wiping your projects if you're using ink. Okay. So now what would have been really cool is I could have just done that would be really lovely, right? Like that's fun. Except for I don't like doing words like that because then you don't read them, right? So I think what I want to do is just like that. What do you guys think? I think that's really nice, right? Now I was thinking that I was going to pop this up, but because I'm not popping up the sentiment, I think I'm just going to have, oh, decisions. Let's see. Right. Like that. And then if we put this up, what does that look like? Okay. What the heck is going on? Okay, it's probably been like that the whole time. You haven't noticed. It's kind of off kilter. Hey, there we go. Okay, it's marginally better. Hopefully not everything's all cockeyed for you guys now. Um, ooh, doesn't have to be an almost an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, nope, I'm gonna pop it up. Popping it up. And of course now, because this has the oomph to it, or it's got the thickness to it, I can actually use my regular foam tape here. Yeah, there. Okay. this. Yeah. Oh, fudge. Stuck it down a little bit too much. So, so the top there. Hold that for a minute. And stick that in. This little guy here, and I just need another little guy for right there. All right. Okay, and I'm going to stick this part down first because that's going to determine where I put my celebrate, right? So I want to make sure that this is down so that I can have a really good idea of how much space I have to put down the celebrate. I don't know if you're ever sticking down like die cut words, like sentiments, like where you're doing just the letters. You always want to start with the center one and then work out from there because the center one you have the best chance of still having centered, right? And then adding the rest of your words, like the letters to each side. I often find that that works the best. If you're not going to like lay them out, because that is one thing that a person could do is lay them out on like a cutting board or like a measuring thing here and measuring, use a ruler, something like that, a measuring implement, and you can stick them out and you can do that and then use some like mint tape or something, stick it down, pick them up and then adhere them. But for me, what I like to do is I just pick the center point and I choose the center letter and then I start with that. And then I go one to the left, one to the right, and then I go to the left and then to the right and to the left and to the right until I'm done with the whole work kind of thing. And usually, probably 8 times out of 10, that works great. It works enough for me. It's not the end of the world for me if it's not exactly as I've said before. But for you, if you are a precision person, for sure, go ahead and utilize a ruler or something like that. It's a great way of doing it for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to stick that right about there. Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to come in with, so that still gives me just enough room up here to add in my celebrate, just like that. Okay. And so now I'm going to pop that and I'm going to get some adhesive, liquid adhesive for this one. Couple of little dots. And because it is going to be going over kind of like this fabric, but also the gold glitter, I do want to make sure that I have enough adhesive that it's kind of going to seep to the edges to actually be adhering to the paper, not just the glitter part, which it's glitter, so it will lift from there. All right, so I'm going to try and center this ish and get it. Um, oops. Okay, think it's pretty good. Do I look where that E is landing? Yes, I do. Okay, so how do we look here? And actually, I can come down just a bit. Oh, good, my head isn't in the shadow. You guys will be able to see is my bald spot there. All right, so I'm gonna take my here. Okay, like that. All right. Now, for the inside of the card, I already stamped a sentiment onto like a piece of cardstock here because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue this into the center. Now, because this is an ivory card, I wouldn't technically need to do this, but I thought it would be kind of nice to add in. Ooh, pooper. Actually, what I could do too is actually add a bit of this gold. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that first. Okay. Should have thought of that first, Corinne. Good planning. All right, but let's do this. So I'm gonna add some of this nice gold, the kind of the texture that we have from the card front. Add that to the bottom of this sentiment page or whatever stamped sentiment area here that I have. And I'm gonna stick that on. Oops. Did I do the right side? I didn't do the right side. What happens when you do it like last minute? You're like, oh, damn, I thought I was going to do that. There you go. This is what this looks like. Changing on the fly. Okay, so now what I can do is turn this over and I can just pull in my scissors. Come in and this here. Zip that part off. Zip this part off. So, go. Don't know where that went to. It popped off my scissors someplace, and now I don't know where it went to. Now I have to add more adhesive because you can see it's already dried. Paper absorbs adhesive so well. If it's a like a regular cardstock, if it's got a non-porous coating to it, it doesn't absorb it really, obviously. And you do need to give it the time to dry. But if it's a porous cardstock like this one is, porous paper, it will for sure uh, absorb into your card for sure. Okay, so there we go. Stick that down. And now, if I hadn't done that up there, I could have done that. But I think I still want to have, oops, get it off of there. Now, this has, I'm thinking I want to do like that. So I want to do it up on here. What? Yep, I want to do that up there. Okay, and I'm going to use my tweezers this time because I did have a problem trying to stick that down the last time. And the last thing that I'm going to do, I got some new flat back pearls. Oh, they're so pretty. In black, white, gold, and this beautiful like crystal. So I'm like, oh yeah. Can't go wrong. Oh, sorry guys. It's a little louder than I intended it to be. Just let that adhere there. There we go. Okay, now that when they open it, it also brings the fun work that you put into it on the outside, brings it into the card, which is really lovely, right? So it gives it, makes it more of an occasion that continues from the outside to the inside. So I'm going to put this to the side here. Okay, so that's going to be the interior. That's basically the card finished. I think it turned out really gorgeous. I'm really happy with both of these cards today. Actually, all three of them are lovely. But like I said, let's pull out. Ta 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 ta. Isn't this? Look at this mix. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, so let's pull this out because we can definitely put a bit of blingy dingy. It's a wedding, for goodness sakes. You want to have a bit of bling on there. So let's pour some of these out and see what is out. One already jumped out. There we go. All right. So let's now, I did bring in just a touch of black with the shadow on the Celebrate. So if I wanted to, I could put on a few black pearls. They've got a bit of an iridescent shine to them. So I could, no, 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 come on now. There we go. One, let's do. So I did do the kind of the ivory or the white. So I could do a white one. I did have this crystal would be quite pretty on there. And I can also do a couple shades or sizes, not shades, sizes of the gold, which would be so cool because it's kind of a gold on gold card, right? So I've got this one, and there's another little one here. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking I should just keep it to the gold. What do you guys think? So it's a nice size here. It's a little bigger than that one. Yep, flip that one over. Come on now. Work with me, work with me. Okay, so I need to find 5 in the gold then. Okay, so this is the biggest one that I think I want to use. So I've got 1, 2, 3. And is there a secondary size here? I really do like that tiny little one. So I've got it's 2, 4. Oh, I have 5. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to put these ones away, and I'm not going to put them away because I'm going to add some onto the other card that we did. But I want to move these around, and to do that, I am going to use my little wax stick here. So, now this little guy, I think I'm going to pull that down to over here with one of these, I think. Maybe. like that. Kind of edging that out like so. And then this one, I want to do that one. Oh, it's there. What do we think? Hmm. Maybe we need to be a little bit further down like that. Hmm, my favorite there, I think. I'm gonna do it a little higher up. Nope. Hmm. Need to move this one. This one. Actually, you know what it is? I need to move the big and the small one over. Okay, so this one needs to be over here with that guy there. So, oh, that one there, like that. There. And then this tiny little guy. Much better. Okay. So these I'm now going to adhere then. And again, this is going on to a textured cardstock. So I am going to add a little bit more adhesive because I want to make sure that it's going to fully adhere to the back of the pearl, but also kind of squish into some of those little nooks and crannies of the texture. Oh, that was a very big squidgy of that. That was a little more than I meant it to be. All right. Get them on you. Okay, there's that one. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to the side. Oh, see, missing a little. Oh, and there's another gold one right there. There's popping out all over the place. All right, and then I want to just finish by adding a couple onto this guy. But this one, I think because there is so much black in the pants of the groom, I think I can actually use the black ones as well. So maybe some black and gold. Probably, I don't know about the white, but definitely the black and gold. Just because this one tends to be a little bit more ivory-ish. So we might do one of the crystals for sure. That could work. That would be lovely. Like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Let's grab a gold. Gold. What over you? Okay. Is that a different size? Those are different sizes. Okay. And now I need a different size in the gold. So let's pull a nice, decent gold size. There we go. All right. Now I like how this is staying over there. So I kind of just want to bring in, I think I want to do, yeah, I'm gonna do kind of so the gold here and then black here and then the crystal here. I just love how I'm talking to myself while I'm doing this. You're all like, who are you talking to? So in this, I can almost pull off of the edge because it will stand out a bit on there, right? And then hold. So like right here with the back on the fudge. Turned it over. That sucks. But I do like the gold further out. Stop turning it. Okay. So put the gold in and then do like that. Oh yeah, that is nice. Okay. So now I'm going to use my wax pencil. And again, this wax pencil, you can find Amazon, any of the craft stores have it, probably artist stores, but it is actually a made for uh uh shoot, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's a word for it. I just had it too. Oh, nail techs. That's the word. Like when they're using to stick na gems onto nails. And that's where I recommend that you get it because then you don't have to pay the crafting price. Because oftentimes you will find, or I have found, maybe you don't find that, but I have found that because we're using it for crafting, and it becomes a craft. Imagine me doing air quotes with my fingers right now, using it for a craft supply we get charged for more for it, right? Kind of like toolkits and stuff. If you travel and you use like sometimes if you like to crop and you like to travel to crop, you can get like a storage bag that has nice slots and everything on it. Well, essentially what that is that is just a like a men's toolkit, like a soft-sided toolkit or something like that. So for the men's one, you can buy it for $40 kind of thing. Now you have to get it in like the orange and black or the green and black or the yellow and black, kind of like the high vis kind of colors, because it's usually for a construction site or something like that. But to get the crafting ones, because they're the prettier colors like turquoise or pink or whatever, to get those, they'll often be like 80 to $90, which is just kind of redonkulous to me, right? So you can see here, so this is the first card that we finished. Look at how lovely that is. I think anybody's going to be really happy to get that. And then on the inside, can just write your message of congratulations and best wishes or whatever. Okay. Second one. So this is the one where we put together the die. It's a multi-layered die. Awesome, awesome. Second one, there we go. This is just the one piece die, nice large die, but we cut it out twice off centered and then just layered it with lots of really fun cardstock that I had in stock in my stash. In fact, some of these were pieces like scraps. So this is an excellent way to utilize your scraps. So and there's the dimension. So we did pop it off. So it's got a little bit of height, but it makes it like a really lovely event, right? Just a nice card to be gifted with. And then this is the sample that I already had made. And so you can just see here where I made a boo-boo on his tuxedo. Nobody's going to see that. But the paper that I had was really cool, almost like a leopard shiny black velvet print. So I cut the jacket out of that because I was like, ooh, how fun is that? And you can see here I was able to use the sentiment better together. And then I was able to get the hearts on there, a little bit of blingage with the half flat back pearls, and then the inside as well, where I pulled some of the detail from the front here, use that to help anchor the inside of my card. So that is going to be the video for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a little longer, but I did want to show you how to, number one, put these together when you're getting them. I'm going to do another one too that has bears, that it has, oh, I think I got 7 or 8 sets of it with different outfits. But how to utilize a multi-layered die. And then if you don't have one, how do I do that with something that I might already have? Let's play together with our papers. Let's see how they work together. Put your cards together using what's already in your stash as much as possible. It's fun to have something new. You're talking to somebody who loves to get something new, but I also really do like to play with what I already have in stock. So, as I said, that's going to be the card today. I hope you really enjoyed. Please feel free to comment, ask any questions below. Remember to please keep your comments kind. I will also be putting a link down below for the Buy Me a Coffee if you found this video helpful, because consider it like a class. It is the same length as a class, and you can work along with me. So if you feel like you would like to help support me, by all means, you can do a donation down there. But the videos will remain free and you are not obligated to it all. It's just if you feel like you'd like to, if you'd like to help out that way, that would be lovely. Anyway, I will see you guys with the next one. Happy crafting. Again, check your stash and just have a great time with what you've got. All right. Take care, and I will see you guys all in another 2 weeks. Bye-bye.